hit me up by email or whatever. I'll send you that link if you can't find it. But for those who want to dismiss all that and say, okay, but at least his character's okay and his policies are okay, well, let's talk about that. Again, I compiled an awful lot of information that I put all together, and I'm going to read chronologically the way I compiled it to let you know how the American people, half of the American people were asleep, and how the church was asleep and just said these things just didn't matter because he's Barack Obama and he's going to bring change to this nation. Now, when Barack Obama wrote a book and he said he was mentored as a youth by Frank Marshall Davis, who was an avowed communist, people said, who cares? Doesn't matter. When it was discovered that Obama's grandparents were strong socialists, they sent Obama's mother to a socialist school and then introduced him to Frank Marshall Davis when he was young. People said, so what? Who cares? Give him a pass. He's Barack Obama. When people found out that Obama was enrolled as a Muslim child in school and his father and stepfather were both Muslims, people said, it doesn't matter. When Obama wrote in another book he authored, quote, I will stand with them, Muslims, should the political winds shift in an ugly direction. By the way, that's in the Audacity of Hope, page 261. People said, so what? Who cares? It's a historic presidency. He's the first black president. Stop confusing us with the facts. We want to believe he's the Messiah and going to fix everything. When Obama admitted in his book that he chose Marxist friends and professors in college, people said it didn't matter. By the way, for those who don't know what Marxism is, Marxist is someone who follows the philosophies of Karl Marx, who was, I believe he was a German philosopher. He was an agnostic, didn't really care about God. He was an evolutionist as well, didn't believe in creation. And by the way, I did some research on him, and this is an absolute fact. Karl Marx was a Satanist. I'm not talking about he did some evil things and you can say he's with the devil. No, he was a practicing Satanist. In fact, there's a book out called Karl Marx and Satanism. Very, very well researched and documented book that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt Karl Marx was a Satanist. So when Obama admitted in his book he chose Marxist friends and professors in college, people said, who cares? Doesn't matter. When Obama traveled to Pakistan after college on an unknown national passport, guess what people said? It doesn't matter. When Obama sought the endorsement of the Marxist Party in 1996 when he ran for the Illinois Senate, people said, you guessed it, it doesn't matter. He's Barack Obama. When Obama sat in a Chicago church, and you know what church that is, Reverend Wright, for 20 years, and listened to Reverend Wright spew some hatred for America and preached what is called black liberation theology, which is foolishness, nothing to do with Jesus. You all believed him when he said, well, yeah, I was here for 20 years, but never heard him talk like that. Yeah, right. What? He's a liar and a deceiver. But you said it just doesn't matter. When an independent Washington organization that tracks Senate voting records gave him the distinct title as, quote, the most liberal senator, people said it didn't matter. That's because half the people don't even know what the word liberal means. When the Palestinians in Gaza set up a fundraising telethon to raise money for Obama's election campaign, people said, who cares? He's the first black president. Give him a pass. It doesn't matter. When Obama's voting record supported gun control and the destruction of the Second Amendment, people said it just doesn't matter. When Obama refused to disclose who donated money to his campaign, as other candidates have done, you guessed it, people said, so what? Who cares? It's a historic presidency. He loves his wife. He has a nice smile. He's charismatic. He dresses nice. He takes his wife to dinner. It doesn't matter. When Obama, well, actually, when it was pointed out that Obama was a total newcomer, had absolutely no experience in anything except community organizing, people said it just doesn't matter. When Obama chose friends and acquaintances such as Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohr, who are revolutionary radicals, people said, you guessed it, it doesn't matter. When Obama's voting record in the Illinois Senate and in the U.S. Senate came into question, people said, who cares? He's Barack Obama. When Obama refused to wear a flag pin and did so openly, and he only actually put it back on after there was a public outcry. Remember that? People said it didn't matter. When people started treating Obama as sort of a messiah figure, not all did, but some absolutely did, and children in schools, and I saw this, were taught to sing praises to Obama. I've seen clips of children in schools singing songs to Obama as if he was some sort of messiah figure. People said, who cares? Doesn't matter. When Obama stood, and I have a picture of this, when he stood with his hands over his groin area, his hands down in front of him, for the playing of the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance, when folks in the military were saluting and everyone else did what you're supposed to do, had their right hands over their hearts, Obama didn't do that. He had his hands down in front of him during the Pledge of Allegiance and national anthem. People said, so what? He's proved time and time again that he's anti-American, and we don't care. It doesn't matter. He's Barack Obama. When Obama surrounded himself in the White House with advisors who were pro-gun, pro-abortion, pro-homosexual marriage, and wanted to curtail freedom of speech in order to silence the opposition, guess what people said? It just doesn't matter. When Obama aired his views on abortion, homosexuality, and a host of other issues, people said, Christians said, so what? He's a black president. It's historic. We need to stand by him. When he said he favors sex education in kindergarten, you remember that, including homosexual indoctrination, people said it doesn't matter. When his background was either scrubbed or hidden and nothing could be found out about him hardly, you remember that, people said it doesn't matter. When the place of his birth was called into question and he refused to produce a birth certificate, just as every other president has done, people said, you guessed it, it doesn't matter. When he had an association in Chicago with Tony Rezko, a man of very questionable character, who's now in prison because of his character, and helped Obama to a sweet deal on the purchase of a home, people said, so what? Doesn't matter. When it became known that George Soros, a multi-billionaire Marxist, spent a ton of money to get Obama elected, people said, it doesn't matter. Stop confusing us with the proofs and facts. It doesn't matter. He's Obama. When Obama started appointing czars that were radicals, revolutionaries, and even avowed Marxists and communists, that's a fact. People said it doesn't matter. When Obama stood before the nation and told us that his intentions were to, quote, fundamentally transform this nation into something else, we never questioned what that something else was. People said it didn't matter. When it became known that Obama trained Acorn workers in Chicago and served as an attorney for Acorn, which is basically a Marxist organization founded by a communist named Saul Alinsky, people said it just doesn't matter. Oh, I haven't even begun yet, so listen closely. When Obama appointed a cabinet member and several advisors who were tax cheats and socialists, you remember that, the tax cheaters, he appointed them. People said, doesn't matter. When Obama appointed science czar John Holdren, who believed in forced abortions and mass sterilizations and seizing babies from teen mothers. Look it up if you don't believe me. John Holdren. Obama appointed him as a science czar. People said, so what? Doesn't matter. When Obama appointed Cass Sunstein as regulatory czar, who believes in, quote, explicit consent, harvesting human organs without family consent, and animals to be represented in court while banning all hunting, people said, so what? Doesn't matter. Are you getting the picture of the character of this man? Now, when Obama appointed Kevin Jennings, you remember that name, he was a homosexual and organizer of a group called Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. Kevin Jennings, you remember that? Obama appointed him. Guess where Obama appointed him to? As the safe school czar. Are you crazy? It became known that this man, Kevin Jennings, had a history of giving extremely bad advice to teenagers in the area of sex. You remember that. That was all over the news. Obama appointed this man. People said, so what? Doesn't matter. When Obama appointed Mark Lloyd as diversity czar, who believed in curtailing free speech, taking from one and giving to another to spread the wealth, which is socialism and Marxism, and he admired communist Hugo Chavez of Venezuela, people said, you guessed it, it just doesn't matter. When Valerie Jarrett, who's an avowed socialist, was selected as Obama's senior